Heard at Health is sponsored video content brought to you by MedCity News.
Hi, very excited to be here with Kina from Elation Health. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so we'll just jump right in. When it comes to EHRs, what are some of the specific needs of primary care practices that are not being met by some of the larger vendors out there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. Even though primary care is a huge percentage of care that's delivered, a lot of its major needs are not addressed by these standard EHRs. So a couple things that really come to mind for us. One is the longitudinal care. So, primary care is responsible for a patient throughout their life cycle. And it's important to be able to digest information about a patient, not just a specific episode or a specific thing that happened, but rather how's the patient evolved over time. And so that longitudinal aspect and really being able to draw insights and understand the patient's history is really important from a clinical perspective. And then I'd say from a financial and operational perspective, primary care is where the rubber meets the road with lots of innovation or change in payment models. So primary care practices are often, subject to, traditionally as pay for performance and evolved into value-based care. And there are also a lot of new payment models in primary care, like direct primary care and other forms, that really put a lot of pressure on complexity to just get paid. And primary care isn't the best paid specialty, so that creates a lot of pressure on those practices. So I'd say those are two major areas that challenge primary care practices.
Yeah, very well said. Going off of that, how is AI being deployed across your platform, and what are some of the use cases?
Yeah, so we are thinking about AI just as one of the tools in our toolkit. It's an incredibly powerful one for technology, and so we're thinking about ways to help our providers or practices across the entire spectrum, whether it's clinical with patient care, if it's operational in terms of running the practice, or financial, getting paid. And so, today we've deployed AI in a number of different ways, whether it comes to, note-taking documentation, through to insights about a patient's record, or even, something straightforward that's always been complex, like medication reconciliation. But increasingly, we're thinking about how do we categorize the administrative burden and the jobs that are really challenging in a primary care practice that take away from the patient experience, and how do we use AI to automate those or make them so that at the end of the day, the energy of the practice is geared towards patients.
Yeah, really interesting. Well, I just have one last question for you. What are some ways that you're supporting physicians in delivering operational efficiencies, steady revenue, and improved outcomes?
Yeah, I'd say that is the mission we are on across all aspects of the business. So whether it's, the way that we are building the Elation platform with the full spectrum of what the practice needs to accomplish in mind with the product, or even as we think about how we support our practices, we go above and beyond just typical support of the software. We really think about trends that are happening in the industry, how there's innovation in things like payment models and ways to be successful as practices, all the way through to how do they think of regulatory change and ways that they can adapt. And most recently, I would say we are definitely helping our practices understand AI and understanding how is AI different from other technologies, and how can practices embrace that and leverage that to eventually, ultimately help them deliver better patient care.